Good afternoon, this is Jazz. Welcome to this video. In the next 10 to 15 minutes, we're going to talk about your relationship with power and why, especially if you're a healer, if you're a spiritual seeker, if you're a spiritual teacher, you need to really balance the solar plexus chakra in your relationship with power so that you can manifest your goals and your desires. In the previous videos, we talked about how the ego shows up at the root chakra with beliefs or patterns of, I don't feel safe. It's not safe for me to be or do my big mission. And at the sacral chakra, it was more about feeling guilty of being different, being unique, bringing your own gifts into the world, or not feeling good about creating your own unique program, your own unique offering in the world. So just not feeling safe creating what it is that's in you to give. At the solar plexus chakra, it's about taking action, taking aligned action toward your goal. And so many of us trip up here at the taking aligned action toward your goal. We have a very skewed definition of power. Power is often defined as having power over others, or if I am powerful, then other people must not be as powerful as I am. So if I am powerful, if I am abundant, if I am a very successful business person, then those around me must be less than. And so ego is always going to judge where you are with that kind of scale of, are you being less than, are you being more than? And then the other feelings from the other chakras about feeling guilty, not feeling not good enough, feeling not safe, that's all going to be activated as well, because chakras work together. None of the chakras work in isolation, ever. So if you have an imbalance at one of the chakras, the other chakras are going to be either amplified or closed up or clogged up with extra energy as well. So you can see that if you don't have a really good definition of power, then everything else about not feeling safe, secure, good enough, that is all going to be activated in either end of the spectrum, again, for the chakra. So on the one end of the spectrum, it might be, I don't feel safe enough, or I must prove to the world that I am good enough, and therefore that power is going to be very aggressive. It's going to be kind of very animal. You need to be the alpha person, and it's not necessarily going to feel good for the people around you. Some people do need that type of leadership, really strong leadership, being the alpha person and rallying around a really strong leader, but it's not necessarily a very enlightened way to be. And when we're spiritual, we're seeking a little bit more of an enlightened way to be, not that aggressive alpha leader, right? So on the other end of the spectrum, how these other ego-resistant voices are going to show up is by, I'm not safe enough, I'm not worthy enough, therefore I will not shine my light. So I will hide. I know that I have great gifts to give to the world, however, I will choose to not show them to the world, right? So that's kind of the spectrum. So where do you feel that you are on the spectrum? Again, the spectrum around hiding, not taking action towards your goal, about maybe being jaded, like what's the use of having a goal? What's the use of having a resolution or an intention? Because it's not going to happen anyway. I'm not going to have the energy to take action. I'm not going to have the energy to see it through. I have a personal history of never seeing things through, of getting bored with things and then just moving on to something else. Are you more on this spectrum, or are you more on the spectrum of, I'm going to do this no matter what, and I'm going to succeed, and I'm going to, and I'm. So where are you on the spectrum? And again, we're human. It's perfectly fine to go from one end to the other and experience the fullness and the richness of life, because how do you know you're balanced? if you've never experienced either end of the spectrum, right? So when in your life did you see yourself at the blocked end of the spectrum, at the low energy type of the spectrum, where you felt victimized, where you felt powerless? When was that in your life? Let's just recall that for a moment, and recall how you felt in your body about that. Recall your body language. Recall your mental patterns. Recall those emotions of when you felt really powerless, that you couldn't do anything, that you're stuck in the job, you're stuck in a relationship, you're stuck in a house that you don't like, you're stuck in a lifestyle that you don't like, and there's nothing you can do to change anything. So recall how that feels. Right? So you might want to write that down, because that is your definition of disempowerment. Now take a breath and recall a moment in your life where you felt really powerful, but in a way that you had to bend other people's will to your own. So you had to get a goal no matter what. It doesn't matter who you hurt in the process. It doesn't matter what other people thought, but you just felt powerful. You were going to go to that goal. You were going to win that prize no matter what. Recall if there's some moment like that. Could be in your childhood, in your teenage years, in your adult years, in your business. Just recall how that felt. Okay, and that's your other definition of that end of the spectrum, with being powerful, but having power over others. And how did that feel for your ego to have power over others? So if you're a healer, if you're a teacher, having all those students going all gaga over you and just listening to everything that you say and implementing it, and how did that feed your ego that I'm the leader and everyone listens to me and I have such power over them? Right? So recall how that feels. So now try to see yourself maybe a little bit more in the middle. And this middle ground, this is really what I activate in my clients and in my students. This middle ground is called being sovereign. So being the queen or the king of your life, being sovereign. And sovereignty does not mean power over people. So many people have that misunderstanding about what being empowered is. They think that being empowered, being sovereign, means having power over others. And that is not the case. That is not the right definition. The right definition of being empowered and sovereign is that you have power over yourself. It means that you've worked on your own issues. You know where you stand. You know where you feel empowered and disempowered. You know where you feel safe and not safe. You know when you feel vulnerable, when you feel strong, when you feel guilty, when you feel not good enough. You know where your shadows are, and you have worked through them, or you are willing to work through them, because there's always more layers to work through. And then you can take action that is for your highest good. Still, even if ego shows up, even if ego kicks your bum and tries to derail you, you can see it and say, oh, I can see you, ego. I see what you're doing there. How very creative and crafty of you. I see you. I feel the fear. I feel the old patterns of shame. I feel the old patterns of disempowerment. I know where they come from, and I choose to overcome these feelings. And I choose to still, even with all of that negativity, still stand in my power, still shine my light. That is empowerment. That is the magic that I do with my clients and my students. It's that level of empowerment, power over oneself. When you truly stand in your own power, no one can take that power away from you. Doesn't matter what happens in your life, you still have that dignity, that sovereignty, so you can get up again. And yeah, things might be horrible for a while, and you might have like a meltdown, you might have an anger tantrum, you might, things might not feel really good. And yet when the dust settles, you say, okay, and now what? How can I come back to my middle ground? How can I come back to my sovereignty? And that takes so much resilience. It takes so much courage. And you need to have your root chakra activated so that you feel safe. And you need to have your sacral chakra activated so that you can receive the help that you need and then shine again and again and again, knowing that when you shine your light, it's like a candle lighting other candles around you. It doesn't take anything away from your power, doesn't take any power away from anyone else, but you live a life with courage and joy and spontaneity and so much fun. The solar plexus chakra is the realm of fire, is a chakra of fire. So root chakra was the earth, sacral chakra was water, and now this is a realm of fire. So it's the realm of the divine masculine. It's a realm of taking action outside of us to really make an impact, not only on our inner self, but also in the world around us. So you see, if you're a spiritual teacher, if you're a healer, and you're very reluctant to take aligned action in the world around you to have an impact, your business is not going to grow. You're not going to derive satisfaction. You're not going to be able to ask for sales, to ask for people to come into your practice. It's going to feel very wishy-washy. And people are not going to know all the good that you can do for them because your gifts will not be fully activated. So can you see how important it is in whatever work that you do? If you want to be recognized, if you want to have that promotion, if you want to rank up, that solar plexus chakra really needs to be activated. It needs to shine brightly, and it needs to be balanced so that it's sustainable, so that you don't burn out. That makes sense? So those are the things that I wanted to cover today. So just taking a quick look at my notes. So the solar plexus chakra is your center of power. And you need to know what the proper, balanced, sovereign definition of power is for you to feel your power really activated and the light to shine in your life. So true personal power is always empowering and inspiring for everyone around you. So it's not, for instance, that you're the guru, you're the leader, you're up on the pedestal, but you're here, you're shining, and you're also lighting the light in other people around you. So in this society, it's a little bit counterintuitive in a way, because it's not about putting yourself as that one expert that's on top and above everybody else. In marketing today, that's what they tell us to do, is to position yourself as an expert above and beyond everyone else around you. Whereas empowerment is, yes, I am strong. Yes, I have these gifts. And I am empowering you to light these gifts within yourself as well. So it's more of concentric, right? So if you're a flame, you know there's that halo around the flame that grows out. So it's not one above the other, but it's a growing out type of power. That's the type of leadership that I aspire to. So that is what I want to light in you as well. So let's recap a little bit how your solar plexus chakra, how the ego voices can sound like if the energy is deficient. So this can sound and feel like powerlessness. It may feel like you're stuck. It may feel like you're unable to take action toward your goal. Again, there's that not good enough syndrome. So it's going to be like one step forward, 3 steps back. They're never really going to be able to accomplish those goals. No drive, no spontaneity, confused about your unique gifts, confused about your path, confused about what is the next right step that I can do now toward my goals, because your goal is going to be wishy-washy. You know those people who always say, like, I want this to happen or something else for my highest good. Like, do you want this or do you not want this? You need to, when you ask for something to be manifested, when you ask for the help of the universe, you need to be very clear in what you want to experience, in the feelings mostly, and in the outcomes. And if you say, yeah, I kind of want that, or something else. If you think something else is better for me, then let's just do that. Can you see how that kind of nullifies your own personal empowerment process? You're here to be co-creator. And as part of being co-creator, you need to be able to say very strongly and firmly what it is that you want to co-create. And then you enlist universe, spirit, guides to work with you toward the realization of that goal. It's not just like, well, whatever, just do, whatever. You're going to have whatever results if that's how you take manifestation, right? So the need to earn your worth by giving, by sacrificing, by taking care of others all the time, that's also deficient energy. So you have the archetype of the eternal victim here, that, oh, things always work for someone else, but never for me. I have to sacrifice all my goals, all my ambitions so that other people can profit. That is an archetype of the deficient energy in the solar plexus chakra. And can you see, especially if you have a business, if you're a healer, or anything that you want to do in life, if you sacrifice yourself your whole life, at the end of your life, are you really going to be satisfied with what you created? Now, of course, parents are going to say, well, there's exceptions. I just sacrifice everything for my kids all the time. Great, if that's the choice that you want to do, that you put your whole life aside, your whole desires aside for 20, 30 years so that you raise your kids. But let me tell you, the clients who come to see me, when the kids leave the house, they feel so lost. They feel ungrounded. They feel so sad, like that empty nesting syndrome is so strong because they've lost the root of who they are, and then they need to reinvent themselves. So, I have a child of my own, and I do a whole lot for him as well, but on the same token, I always keep something for me. So my goals, my ambitions as well, so I can nurture him, but from a place of being nurtured myself. Right? So don't lose yourself. Don't lose yourself in your kids. It's going to have a high impact later on in life in your 40s, 50s, 60s. So always keep, even if you give a lot of yourself, it's not from a place of being a victim, but from a place of loving and nurturing. Does that make sense? Because there's a difference here. And if you don't understand the difference, ask me. And if you need to work on that, let's work on that. I have coaching programs available where we can go really deeply into those beliefs so that you can feel nurtured at every moment, every stage of your life. So let's look now at what the ego resistance voice can look and feel like with the excessive energy. So again, this is the need to be the alpha, the need to dominate others, the need to be the one on the pedestal, looking down at everybody else. It's the definition of your own self-worth that will depend on how much you do. So look at me, I'm so busy all the time, therefore I am more worthy, right? How many times do we say to each other, hey, how are you? Say, oh, I'm busy. Oh, good for you. Like, really? Is busyness really being the great thing when it's all the time, nonstop, 24/7? Look at me, how much I give myself to the world. Look at me, how busy I am. Look at me at my schedule that is so full. That's a recipe for burnout. I know. Like, honestly, I've had about 5 burnouts in my life, so I'm kind of a pro at this. And hopefully I've had the last burnout because with all the work that I do, the Reiki, the crystal healing, the work of the Akashic Records, I know how to recognize the patterns and break them more quickly. So when I teach you, when I coach you, it's really from a place of been there, done that, got the t-shirts, right? It's not just empty words that I give you. So being busy all the time especially when it's not being productive. It's not good for you in your personal life, and it's not good for you in your business either. It's not going to give you sustainable long-term results. Also, when there's excessive energy, you might be oblivious of the impact that you have on other people around you. You might have the need to be a constant rebel, to always be contrary to what everybody else is doing. The narcissistic tendency is also there, the too much energy there in the solar plexus chakra. Adrenal fatigue, constant heartburn, that's going to be too much energy in the solar plexus chakra. And guilty when you take time off. Those people, entrepreneurs, workers in the office who can never take a holiday, never take a sick day, that is also too much energy in the solar plexus chakra. It's always about proving yourself to others, always being more, always defining your self-worth and who you are through the work that you do. And there's no enjoyment for life. So when that is too much excess energy, you remember that the sacral chakra is about enjoying life. So when this part of the solar plexus takes on too much energy, can you feel that it actually shrinks and has negative impact on the sacral chakra, right? Because you can't really enjoy life if it's all about work and busyness and doing all the time and proving yourself. And it's also that type of leadership if you're always ready to pick a fight. And I see that in so many spiritual workers as well, is that warrior, that goddess warrior archetype, that you always have to pick a fight. The world is always unfair. You always have to be and do more, and other people suck, and you have to Maya's at the door. I shut the door. So if you hear the dog, I'll be with her in just a moment. We're almost wrapped up. So can you see that the negative impact? So yes, it can be a warrior archetype. I've activated Athena for myself this morning so that I can stand in my power as I speak with you. But some spiritual warriors all about the world is so unfair and you have to fight all the time, right? That is excessive energy. And it's really, if you dig back into that, it's probably because the person doesn't feel safe enough. The person has had boundaries that were trespassed. There's fear there, right? So that's how things can show up. So let me know how those voices of ego are showing up for you in your life, in your business. And I want to invite you to talk with me. Let's actually pick up, well, not the phone because it's online on the computer, but we can talk face to face, so you can see me and I can see you, and we can have a conversation about what's going on in your life in terms of resistance. Where are you feeling the resistance? And then I can teach you exactly what you can do to overcome and break through those egoic resistance. And especially if you're in constant cycles of burnout, and then do nothing, and then doing too much energy, and then doing nothing, and feeling confused and feeling that your life isn't getting anywhere. Let's talk about that. I can teach you how to overcome that. I'm here to support you, to nurture you, nourish you, light that flame within you so that you can be the most joyful, abundant person, that version of you that you're here to embody. Write in the comments if you have any comments. I'll put the link to book your free 30-minute session in the comments as well. We'll talk to you soon. Until then, Wednesday, we're going to talk a little bit more about how ego resistance in the business, the solar plexus shows up in your business. So until then, I give you a big, great hug from my heart to yours. Much love.